I enjoy the first part of today's gospel, but doesn't it really fall apart toward the end? We have a king who was throwing a party. He wanted his guests, his friends, to have a great time, but they refused to come. So he tells his servants to move on to the B list, to invite anyone they could find, bad and good alike, and seat them at the wedding reception. I love that part because it means I'm in. But where the story unravels comes toward the end, when the king comes in to greet his guests and saw a man not dressed in a wedding garment, he had him tied up hand and foot and tossed out into the dark. Now remember, the guests on the second list had no idea, no warning that they were coming to a banquet. The gospel doesn't say they had time to go home, clean up, and change. It sounds more like the opposite. They were picked up off the street and almost dragged to the palace. Now that poor guy who got thrown out may have been working on the farm, painting his house, anything. How could the king expect him to show up dressed in whatever passed for a tuxedo in those days? Well, this is what I found out. In Jesus' time, when you were invited to a wedding, the host, the father of the groom, provided your garment for you. So if you could afford one or not, if you were wealthy or penniless, you received an identical outfit. In that way, everyone was equal. The host showed that all his guests were welcome, all honored at the banquet. So it wasn't that this man had no time to change. It wasn't that he couldn't afford a nice garment. It was that he refused to accept what the king so generously offered him. Now why? Well, that's a mystery to me. But aren't there a good number of people today in our own families who continue to refuse God's invitation to the banquet of the Eucharist? There are some, just like in the gospel, who say they are too busy. Some who insist, I get nothing out of it. And some who even get angry when you invite them to come home. Today, we thank God for the garment of mercy offered to us, and we wear it knowing that it is gift and we need it. But let us remember to pray constantly for our sisters, our brothers, who for whatever reason still refuse to put it on. May they clothe themselves in the garment of glory and join us at the banquet of the King. God love you.